This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, whatever time it is with you and wherever you are. Thank you for downloading this SmackDown review as part of the WWE podcast. As always, it's an absolute pleasure to have you listening along. I'm Amanda, the host of your SmackDown review. So we're just about to get to the final PLE before Mania, and I wanted to talk really quickly about some predictions. So, first of all, the Women's Chamber. So my hope is that now Liv is out of contention for the win, as her and Raquel took the tag titles on Monday, which actually I'm really pleased about. I like them as champions. And it looks like Bianca and Naomi are hopefully going to be wrapped up in the Jade Cargill angle. I hope so. A lot of other podcasts I've listened to seem to want to see Bianca versus Rhea, but I'm really not on that bus. As Cole mentioned tonight in commentary, Bianca's already the longest ever reigning women's champion holder. I've got really no interest in seeing her win that. I would love for Alexa to get the win and face Rhea, but failing that, Roxanne would be cool, or Bayley. So for the men's chamber, I really hope Punk gets his Mania main event. I don't think Cena wins, but I think maybe he pulls the same nonsense he did after Rumble and wangles himself into WrestleMania somehow. Sami versus KO, I think this will be absolutely brutal and there's going to be blood. I think Sami gets the win with the help of a returning Randy, opening up Randy versus KO, hopefully at Mania. Trish and Tiffy versus Nia and Candice. I think this is an absolute slam dunk, a win for Trish and Tiffy. It's a home match for Trish. I don't think there's any question that they're going to get the result there. And then what about this absolute nonsense with Cody and Rock? I mean, I say there is no way Cody turns heel. I think he rejects the Rock. Rock picks the winner of the Chamber. Hopefully the winner will be Punk to be his nominee for corporate champ. Now a heel Punk, I like. Failing that, maybe Rock defaults to Cena and we finally see heel Cena. Let's see. Anyway, let's get to it and review the SmackDown that aired on February 28th from Toronto, Canada. And we kick off with a recap of The Rock's rambling and confusing promo from last week. And we see Cody arriving for tonight's show. And he gets shown to his special locker room, courtesy of the final boss. First out for live action tonight, we've got Trish, decked out in Toronto sports kit. Well, I mean, why not? It's her hometown after all, and the crowd are obviously loving her. In the ring, she's actually getting quite choked up as they start chanting, "Thank you, Trish." She has the mic and she thanks Lillian for her intro. And she says, "What year even is it? We have Lillian Garcia and ring announcement. The Rock is back and Trish is wrestling tomorrow." That's a fair point. She says she loves wrestling because of the generational impact. And she picks a little girl out of the crowd and says, "Your dad probably had a poster of me on his wall back in the day." And I think we all know what poster she was referring to. She says she's beyond excited to be teaming up with Tiffany, and she brings her out to an absolutely massive pop, also wearing the Toronto sports kit. She's just so over. They chuck their custom tops out into the crowd and talk about how in sync they are. And then we get them interrupted by Chelsea Green. She's got Piper with her dressed as a Mountie, which is absolutely great. Chelsea says, "Do you know who I am? I deserve the airtime." Chelsea says to Trish, the minute she left this dump, I'm guessing Canada, things got better for her. She says she is honoured to represent the people of America because America is better, which is greeted by massive boos. And to be honest, why wouldn't it? Given the choice right now, oh, America, what have you done? Anyway, that's not for this podcast. Tiffy says she's American and Chelsea certainly doesn't represent her. She says leave it to the real champion, not the one who needs her mummy to dress her. Trish says they should fight right now. Everyone wants to see it. And a referee appears at light speed, despite Chelsea saying that she's made plans and she needs to leave. And so this match is on. It kicks off. And we've got Wade on comms saying that it's vindictive of Nick Aldis to send a ref straight to the ring despite the US champ's wishes. Tiffany starts off very strong, showcasing her gymnastic ability. Piper tries to get involved on the outside but gets kicked in the face by Tiffy, giving Chelsea the upper hand off the distraction. She hits a crossbody and gets a very close 2 cover, and is being allowed to make a decent showing in her home country, which is as it should be, really. We then get the Tiffy fight back, and she hits a couple of absolutely whopping clotheslines on Chelsea to the delight of the Toronto crowd. A huge spinebuster leads to a close count for Tiffy. Chelsea from nowhere hits some kind of elevated split leg kick, which was very cool, and looks for the unpretty her, which is countered by Tiffy. Tiffy's about to hit the moonsault, but Piper rescues her. Trish intervenes, and Tiffany flies from the top rope to the outside, taking out both women. And now, somewhat inevitably, we get Nia and Candice out of absolute nowhere to interfere in the match, ending it in a DQ. As Candice and Nia continue to beat down, we get some lovely teamwork from Trish and Tiffy, which means I think the match tomorrow night should be pretty awesome. Tiffy and Trish just looks excellent together. So a good, strong and fast start to the show, which is nice. Then we get Joe Tess bringing us news from Nick Aldis, which is about the US title and the number 1 contender to that title. Tonight, he says they're going to have 6 men in contention in 3 one-on-one matches, followed by a triple threat to determine the number 1 contender. That's all happening tonight. So the matches are Knight versus Escobar, Carmella Hayes versus Braun Strowman, and Andrade versus Solo. My first thought here is, why Solo and how? Surely it should be Fatu. I should have parked that thought, because coming up next, we've got Solo with Fatu and Tonga. Fatu says that last week was an accident. Solo doesn't seem convinced. He says Solo has a number 1 contender match tonight, but Solo says he wants Fatu to run the play and for him to become US champ. Solo says everything he does is to show him how much he loves him. So in fact, we do have Fatu in the contenders picture after all, and I think that is the right decision, surely. This is a great move for the US title anyway. And the fact that it will be done and dusted in one night is really good news. I like that format a lot. So we start that off right now. Straight away, we've got Andrade versus Fatu. And before the match, we get some footage of Cody's luxury dressing room, and Truth is in there eating prawns or shrimps or something. And he tells Cody that he should definitely consider The Rock's offer. Back to the ring, we've got Fatu out looking mean as always. And before the match, I have to predict that Andrade will get absolutely mullered. And the crowd are chanting for Fatu. It's like we live in a back-to-front universe these days, and most of the heels are just well over with the crowd, and I think that's great. So Andrade does actually have a good showing. Early on, he got some good momentum in. Fatu doing his usual no-selling trick. Andrade hits some great moves, including a really impressive Hurricanrana from inside to outside, slamming Fatu, and follows up with a moonsault from the top to the outside. Pretty impressive and unexpected for me. As I said, thought Fatu would completely squash him. Now the change seems to be coming, with Fatu firmly in charge, beating down on Andrade in the ring. Fatu hits a pop-up Samoan drop and follows up with a running hip attack, but he is met with a kick to the face. And Andrade counters the Samoan drop, managing to put Fatu down on his head instead. Andrade looking to hit Fatu in the corner, but Fatu follows up very quickly and is turned pretty much inside out by a wicked clothesline. Andrade gets running double knees and goes up to hit his double moonsault, getting a close 2 count. Fatu, with Andrade in the corner, hits 2 running hip attacks, followed by a DDT and a moonsault, getting the cover for the win. So I thought an absolute cracker of a match. I was expecting a squash, but no, Andrade was brilliant and made a really good account of himself. So this was really good. And Fatu is through to the triple threat match later tonight, which I think is also a very good thing. We then get a recap of the shenanigans from last week's tag title match and the involvement of the Street Profits. And we get some footage from backstage earlier in the day with Nick. And the Street Profits are saying that they won't be stopped until they get a title shot. And Legado del Fantasma come along and ask for an apology for the accusation that the Profits made. And obviously Street Profits won't do that. And they get up in each other's faces. Nick Aldis makes the match Los Garzos versus Profits tonight with the message that it will have some serious implication for the titles. So we have Los Garzos in the ring already, and the Street Profits make their entrance. As they do, and before the match, we get DIY attacking them from behind, and Los Garzos getting into it with DIY. As a brawl breaks out, we've then got Pretty Deadly come out, after some revenge, no doubt, for last week's interruption to their match. And then last but not least, and at what looks like half speed, we get Motor City Machine Guns to the ring to join in. And now it's just basically all kicking off with all the teams having to punch up, security and officials trying to get control. But there's no chance, and it looks like that match not happening right now. We go backstage again and we see Drew speaking to Cody. He says he's got no idea what he would do if The Rock made that offer to him. But what is The Rock going to do when Cody says yes? And he finds out that Cody sold his soul a long time ago. I guess that's a dig at Cody leaving, going to AEW and then coming back to WWE. So we got a vignette then from Cena, which is like a pre-recorded sort of collaboration of all some previous bits and bobs from Cena. And midway through that Cena promo, thankfully, and I don't think I've ever said that before about a Drew interruption, but thankfully we get Drew interrupting, telling the production to cut it off. He says, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a hypocrite. Drew says that no one has said anything about Cena not qualifying and putting himself in the chamber, so he's going to. He sits down Punk style, and he says he wonders what 2010 Cena would say to today's Cena. He says he would rip him for leaving and going to Hollywood, and also the bald spot on his head that deserves its own area code, which I thought was funny because Cena's bald spot is massive these days. Damien's music hits and he comes straight into the ring. He says enough from Drew. He's had enough of his continuous complaints. Drew says all he's done is tell the truth. Damien says Drew's great year wasn't that great. It was self-sabotage because of his weird obsession with CM Punk. He calls him out for even sitting like him. Damien says tomorrow he will win at Chamber and go to Mania. Just as Drew is about to get into the ring with Priest, we get Seth's music hit him, and he comes out wearing a sleeping bag in fetching red colour. And hey, speaking of Seth, we didn't mention Becky returning. Apparently she has signed a new contract, so where is she? I think we need a Becky return, and soon. Anyway, back to this Chamber face-off, and Seth is in the ring with Priest now. Drew's still hanging outside the ring. Seth says he has some different memories, and that if it hadn't been for Drew and Punk, he would be champion. He says he is here to talk about the future. And he isn't the same Seth that hobbled into Mania last year. He feels as good as he looks this year, and no one stands a chance. At that point, yay, we get Punk. What a treat on a SmackDown. As always, a massive pop. He isn't stupid. He doesn't get into the ring where Seth looks like he's swallowed a wasp. He says to Seth, you feel as good as you look, and you look ridiculous. He says he's got no beef with Priest, but Drew and Seth are obsessed with him, and he is only obsessed with Mania and getting his main event for the first time ever. He says that if they all wake up tomorrow and decide not to turn up like Cena decided not to turn up after embarking on a retirement tour, Seth says if he can't win, then then he's going to make sure that Punk won't. Priest says that he knows tomorrow Drew will be whinging on the internet after losing, and then Cena's music hits, but it isn't Cena, it's Logan Paul. He says, face it, Canada, Cena doesn't care about you. He says that Cena is a classic celebrity wrestler, can't be bothered to turn up while all the full-timers do the work. He cuts promos on all the other competitors in the chamber, which is no great shakes, really. It was very playgroundy kind of stuff. And then when CM Punk steps up to him, he basically runs off. So I think tomorrow night's match should be good. It's definitely stacked with quality. It's a bit weird, I think, that there's a massive fanfare for Cena's retirement tour, and of course a ton of merch. We haven't seen him on any regular programs to speak of. Personally, I feel a bit cheated by that. I'm over Cena anyway, and kind of thought he was already done, but when he announced his retirement, I thought, okay, maybe we see Cena around a lot for one more year. But honestly, if all he's going to do is show up for the PLEs, then I'm not interested. Honestly, I think the roster is strong enough to not have the constant comeback, in quotes, of the legends. And yes, obviously, respect to them, but we are in different times now, and good times. I'd rather see the Elimination Chamber spot go to someone else. I mean, let's play it through for a second. So what happens? Cena somehow gets to Mania. He wins the title at Mania, robbing us of what could have been. And then what? We see him on the Raw after Mania and he disappears till SummerSlam? Not for me, thanks. So we then get some footage of the Elimination Chamber kickoff show with Liv and Raquel kicking off with Bianca and Naomi. And then that brings us around to the 6-woman tag match, which is set for tonight. So that's going to be Liv Raquel with Roxanne Perez versus Bayley with Naomi and Bianca. We're then straight back into the action. And we've got LA Knight versus Escobar for the next number one contender for the US title. Starts off pretty much level pegging, and things are pretty equal. These guys tying up and switching moves. Knight starting to get the upper hand, getting hung up over the top rope, and they take the fight out of the ring with Knight's head bouncing off the ring steps. Knight looking to rally with a big slam and a huge elbow to Escobar. Escobar hits an amazing move from the top rope, taking out Knight big time. He goes up top again, but Knight counters with a BFT out of the midair, which looked amazing, and gets the win. So it was another good match, and now we've got Knight through to the triple threat match later on tonight with Fatu. And honestly, that BFT out of midair was as good as some of the RKOs that we've seen Randy take out of midair. Really, really good stuff. Now we've got Sami heading out to the ring, and he looks a little bit happier than the last time we saw him, and of course getting a really great reaction from his Canadian home crowd. He says to KO that they've been through a lot together, and that's an understatement. He says he's done a lot of running and hiding, but Sami knows that KO is in Toronto tonight, and as Sami is standing in the ring, he wants KO to come down to the ring and say anything that he wants to him before they fight. With that, KO comes onto the big screen, and he isn't at the arena. He's in the Rogers Centre, which is the venue for tomorrow night. He says they've never fought on this scale. He says he's sick of Sami making people perceive KO as the bad guy. He says he isn't, and tomorrow, after he ends his career and is in a wheelchair, KO won't help Sami's family at all, and that is all going to be Sami's fault. Sami says that he knows it isn't the tough guy thing to do to admit he's nervous before a fight, but he is. He's nervous about what he'll do to KO. He says he's nervous that KO's family won't forgive him after what he does, and that's okay. He can live with that. So that was a really good promo from both of these guys, and a really nice way for us to get to this unsanctioned match tomorrow night. Really looking forward to it, and as I said, I do see a Sami win with an assist from Randy, hopefully. We then get Mallow backstage with The Miz, who is still trying to pimp them the concept of the tag team. Cody comes over, and Miz says to him that he lives in Hollywood and he knows that The Rock runs Hollywood. He knows that Cody wants more and that he should take The Rock's offer. And now the last of the number one contender matches, which is Mello versus Strowman. Both guys in the ring, and seems Mello has some kind of sponsorship deal with an iced tea company because we get that rather than any entrances. Strowman starts off strong, running through Hayes basically like he isn't there. Tonga comes out, and off the distraction from behind, Solo hits Strowman with a chair to absolutely no effect at all, and dissects them both. Mello pulls a typical Eddie Guerrero move and acts like Strowman hit him with the chair and gets Strowman DQ'd. So Mello is through to the triple threat tonight. Now I feel like Mello shouldn't feel too pleased. Clearly Solo and Tonga think that Strowman is the biggest threat to Fatu winning the triple threat, and they aren't at all bothered by him. And I think they're probably right. I hope Fatu will decimate the field, but let's see later on. We go backstage to Naomi, Bianca and Bayley, who are talking about tonight's 6-woman tag match, and they're all saying they want to smash Liv tomorrow night in Chamber. So we've now got this 6-woman tag match, which originated out of the Elimination Chamber kickoff show earlier on. And to get the match started, we've got Naomi in with Liv, and then very quickly descends as all 6 women into the ring, slugging it out. We get the order restored and Bayley tagged in, taking out Liv with a suicide dive, and then suicide dives 3 times in a row, taking out Raquel and Roxanne Perez as well. Liv manages to get a much needed tag to Raquel, who starts to try and take out Bayley's knee, which is some nice storytelling. That's probably going to play into tomorrow night's match. Liv back in and continues the work on Bayley's knee, and Bayley finally gets a tag. Bianca is in, taking out Raquel from the top rope. Both women trying to get each other up, but only Bianca succeeds, hits a moonsault and gets a 2 count. We've got Naomi in, and she is caught by Raquel, who drops her onto the top rope by her neck, which actually looks pretty painful. And we've got Perez now in for the first time, and she's with Bayley, who hits a flying elbow, getting the cover, and only to have Liv break it up. And now all breaking down again, all the women in. Perez hits pop rocks on Bayley and gets the win, while no one is really paying any attention. Another good match in the show tonight. Perez getting the pin. Pop rocks move that she uses is a great looking move, and seems to be quite nicely protected as a finisher. Just as she's about to celebrate, we get Alexa shows up from behind and hits Sister Abigail, or I think they call it now the Abigail DDT, on her, leaving her laying in the ring, which was awesome. I love it. I hope she gets a great showing at Chamber. And then again, we get the Wyatt 6 creepy logo thing pop up while she's on screen. So I'm thinking maybe they get involved somehow tomorrow to help Alexa. Is she the new leader? And what could she do with Nikki? This is all really great stuff. We now get Byron backstage with Charlotte Flair, and he asks her what she thinks of Tiffy and Trish. She says it's cute, but once the smoke clears, Tiffy's got bigger problems, and that's her. And that was pretty much it from Charlotte tonight. So she's flown to Toronto, done her bit, and thank you very much. Picked up the paycheck. And now the triple threat match for the number one contenders match to the US title. Obviously, that's to face Shinsuke Nakamura, who we haven't seen tonight. We kick off, and Knight gets in quick, but is blindsided by Mello. We get Mello trying to get a sneaky cover on Knight as he grabs his tights, but no joy. Knight nails an elbow from the top onto Mello, and Fatu goes after Knight on the outside. Knight fights back and not doing a bad job actually against Fatu. Fatu then hits Mello so hard that he actually sort of knocks him out of his own skin a bit. And now we've got all 3 back in the ring. Fatu, as expected, pretty much bossing things. Mello hits first 48 on Fatu, who just shrugs it off and gets the Samoan drop kick on Mello. Mello then hits it again on Knight this time, but he fails to get the cover again. Knight hits a springboard crossbody on Fatto, putting him through the announce table. Mello hits nothing but net. Fatu breaks it with a diving swanton. He hits a moonsault on Mello and surely has it won, but Knight pulls him from the ring and nicks the cover on Mello for the win. So this, I think, is a massive surprise. Fatu with a loss, and Knight is the number one contender. So we get to see Shinsuke and Knight again, and that's okay. It would be nice to see Knight with another title run. So I hope he does get the win over Shinsuke as and when that happens. We now get Cody backstage again, this time with Punk. You can see what they're doing here, getting everyone's opinion in. Punk says he wants your soul. What does that even mean? Pretty sure I said that last week. He says, what do you think young Cody would do? I know what young Punk would have done, but now I know better. Punk tells him he should tell The Rock to shove it up his part-time Hollywood arse, which I think is strong advice. So we've then got Cody's entrance. He comes down for an interview with Cole, and it looks like we're going to get to hear Cody's first thoughts on Rock's offer. Cole says the Cody he knows would never consider this offer. After all he's done, he represents these people, as in the fans, the WWE Universe, as you want to call it, and everyone else in the WWE, and living up to the legacy of his father. The crowd are chanting, Rocky sucks. Cole says if you accept the offer, you can have everything in the world. You could have a seat on the board, only the best PLEs, and be home whenever he wants. Cole then says he's hearing that there's a special gift coming in for him, and he has a fancy looking truck with Cody's branding on it is brought into the arena. Cole says good luck with the decision, and then we've got Rock on the big screen. Says he's coming and he's getting ready to board the bird. Rock says he knows he will do the right thing tomorrow night at Chamber. He says he's been talking to Dusty all week long. I mean, come on, eye roll. Rock now singing again. Is he trying to launch his singing career? Jesus. Maybe they kept him on FaceTime so they could hang up if he got rambly again, so I would urge him to press that button right now. He has a weightlifting belt on with the date Dusty died. The crowd are chanting, boring, boring, boring. So honestly, a much, much better show than last week. Loved the quick tournament. That was a lot of fun. And just all around much better, so thank God. The only downer was the Rock bit at the end. I guess I'm just not that into it. Anyway, I think Cody says no. And we'll see who gets forced to be the corporate champ. And maybe that's how they liven up the scene a bit. Anyway, enjoy Chamber tomorrow night. I think it's going to be a great PLE. That just about does it for this week's show. As always, thank you for having me in your ears. And until next time, remember, be kind.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.